Welcome back to art class. Today we're going to continue on with our Van Gogh chair. It is going to be our 3D chair. Our focus today is actually just on the drawing piece. You will need that half sheet later on next week, so just keep it handy. It is something that's important, but you're just going to want to put that off to the side because we're going to focus on the coloring. That's going to actually take a while, so that's our focus today. Just a reminder about our project. So it's going to be a 3D chair. And one thing I want you to notice is the textures that I have in my picture here. For that, we're going to need a couple of things. We're going to need a pencil just in case we need to do some erasing or drawing. And you're going to want a box of crayons. The crayons are actually the best tool for this particular project. So I'm going to give you some basic pointers, then I'll fast forward after I've shown you a few things, and I'm going to stop and go in different spots. Nothing is particularly very difficult today. It's just going to take some time to color neatly. Neatly is the key. You are in 5th grade, so that is kind of important. All right, so the first part I'm going to do with the floor. My floor is a wooden floor, so naturally brown makes the most sense. Let me get my brown out. Okay. And my brown is broken, but it will do the job. So the first thing to do is you're going to put a light layer on it. So I'm going to do half the floor, and then we'll do the other half a little bit and fast forward. Okay, so now I have my light layer on. I'm just going to use this. This is kind of a pain. All right, next I'm going to outline the lines so they're dark. So you can see the wood planks pretty easy. And I do rotate my color crayon a little bit as I go. Okay, so this is the basics. Next, we're going to add in the Van Gogh thick painting style, which he was known for. So instead of painting really thin, which is what most painters do, because paint was pretty expensive back then, he would save up and make thick paintings. He'd have lots of thick marks. Starry Night is one of the ones that he's most notable for, but these chair pictures that we looked at last week and this week have some of that texture as well. I'm going to go ahead and post other pictures as we're going that have that notable look to it. Now notice I'm doing short little marks, and they're dark and they're random. They're not in like this nice straight line. They're random. I'm kind of jumping around the boards a little bit just to make sure that they seem relatively random. I'm also not having to fill everything in because of that light brown color that we put behind. I don't have to fill this entire thing in. Now, coloring direction does matter. Notice all my marks go the same way as the board. It would not make sense for the lines to go side to side. So what you gotta do, have to pay attention to which direction things are going. Okay, next one I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and fill this side in. I'm gonna speed through it real fast. Okay, next, let's talk about like the wall here. The wall would be done very similar. You pick a color for the wall, so let's say I pick green for the wall. Go in, give it a color lightly. Very carefully do any outlining that has to be done, but you want your marks to go all the same direction. I can't have crisscrossing going on. I recommend that the wall go side to side if your floor is going up and down. That way the marks don't match perfectly when it comes to the texture that you're going to add to it. Okay, so now it's going this way, so I'm going to go in and add my green marks. And these ones might be a little bit longer because it's a bigger space. All right, so now the wall's done. Smaller items like the chair and the wall or outlet here, like the handle, they don't necessarily need a texture. They can just be colored in because they're small. But a bigger item like this rug probably should. And I'm going to actually change up my texture a little bit. Okay, so I got my light background, but this time I'm gonna, because this is a rug, the texture should be different. So I'm gonna go in. And what I have is little C's going backwards and forwards. So I kind of go in with a first layer of C's, kind of randomly place them, and then I do the reverse to kind of fill in and randomize the overall look. Like that. So continue on with my rug. Okay. One thing I want to make a note at this time before I move on to anything else is please do not confuse random with sloppy. You can see that my marks look random inside, but they stay clearly inside their areas. So make sure you're not being sloppy with your work. What I'm going to do next is the chair. That one I'm going to blend my colors a little bit because I don't want my chair to match my floor. So I'm going to use this yellow. It's actually kind of a, I think they call it dandelion. And I'm going to give a base layer, so I'm going to mix my colors here a little bit. Okay, so again, you're gonna be adding a little bit of texture to your pictures, some marks, so it kind of has that Van Gogh feel to it. On the small stuff, you don't need to do that, you just need to lightly fill it in. Okay? And you can change your direction of the marks for something like a rug, or maybe you can see I went diagonal here for the door. Once you're done, snap a photo of it, turn it in to Google Classroom like before, and we'll see you next week to wrap this up.